You're listening to the Beauty Beyond Bella podcast, powered by Formula Wellness.
I'm your host, Dr. Yvette Suarez, owner and medical director of Bella Excellence, a diamond-accredited anti-aging med spa in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. On this show, we explore the latest trends in health, beauty, and anti-aging medicine while celebrating the inspiring journeys and achievements of our guests.
Well, welcome, Charlotte. It's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Today, we're going to talk about some issues that women experience every single day. We're always having symptoms as we get older, and women are just being told, it's okay, you're just a woman. It doesn't matter. It'll get better. Leave it alone. Is that okay?
No.
No. So please tell us about your story.
Okay, well, to start off with, I had a hysterectomy at 42 and threw me into early menopause around 45, 44, 45, somewhere around that time. I started experiencing a lot of hot flashes and signs of menopause. I went to doctors. They said, well, you're still premenopause. I'm like, I didn't want to hear that. And I heard that for another 5 years. I think, no, you're not in full menopause yet. And every year I was sweating more and more. I fell asleep one night, leaned up against my glass block shower. I started waking up in the mornings on the tile in the bathroom across there just from trying to find some relief. And I would go to the doctors and they'd say, well, try putting a little more vinegar in your diet. Or they started trying experimental things. One of them gave me even medication for high blood pressure that they had found that would reduce people's hot flashes. And I have the other end of it. I have more lower blood pressure.
So that couldn't make you feel good, dropping your blood pressure.
No, it did not. None of it worked. Nothing they gave me. They tried all kind of remedies and nothing worked. And I kept trying to tell them about an experience I'd had before I went into menopause in my late 30s, where my body started rejecting hormones, estrogen, or the birth control pills, let's put it that way. And I had got seriously ill from it. And they didn't understand what was wrong with me then, but when they finally figured that out, that's when I had to come off birth control pills, and I decided to have my tubes tied, and it was botched, and eventually had to have the hysterectomy, and that's how all that came to be. When I would explain to people, or not people, to the doctors, about the experience I had where my body started rejecting the birth control pills, nobody listened. They just was like, this is just part of menopause. You've just gone into it early because of your hysterectomy. That has nothing to do with it. And I just suffered on. So this went on another from 44, nonstop till I was 59. I suffered with this for about 15 years. And
that's a long time.
It's a very long time. And it was so bad at that point, and it had been for the last 5 years up to that point, that people would walk by me in the grocery store and go, are you having a hot flash? They could feel the heat beaming off my body. It was that bad.
It's hot.
Or I'll be sitting there having a conversation with someone, and just as I'm talking to them, beads of sweat would be popping up on my forehead and running down the side of my face. It was a miserable existence. And I'll say it's not just being miserable from the hot flashes. It's the other things it caused. It was waking me up all during the night. So I was having a lot of sleep deprivation. And I guess due to all of that, I also was having like a foggy head. Everything was a fog then. And that's when I heard some girls talking around the pool one day about a place they were going and getting the pellets, and they really liked the doctor and everything. And I said, who are you talking about? And they told me it was Dr. Suarez at Bella's. And I said, I go to Bella's, but I've never gone there for that. I was telling him, I said, I've been going there for facials and skincare, but I had never been to your office for hormones, so that's when I made an appointment. And I got to say, after 15 years, you were the first one that listened to my story about what happened in my late 30s and how my body was rejecting the estrogens and birth control pills, and that I really felt that's one reason why the remedies they were giving me weren't working. And you said, well, I'm going to fix the regimen. We're going to go around that. And you started me on like micro doses of estrogen with the testosterone and the progesterones. And you said, we're going to slowly build your body up, and we'll never take it any farther than it starts to give you problems. And you started me on that when October of 19,
Oh, that's been a long time.
almost 6 years now. And I was coming to you long before that. So I think I've been coming to you for like 10 years, about 10 years now. But it's been on the 6 for the hormones.
No, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important for our listeners to understand that there is help, that there are programs that really need to customize that. And I think we need to walk that back. You know, a lot of people are on birth control, and birth control is not bioidentical to our bodies. And so because it comes from horse and equine, we start to really react that. Some women will react immediately upon starting birth control, and other women, just after they've been on it for a while, they're not really feeling well. They don't understand why they're not balanced. Maybe they're estrogen dominant and now their progesterone is low. And so I think for me, it hurts my heart a little for us to go to our primary care physicians and be told, we don't know what's wrong with you, and it's a million other things, and not really listen and hear you, because there's a lot of people suffering for that. And we need to take that accountability and start to work at what's going on and trying to figure that out, taking people off the medications that they shouldn't be on and working something healthier for them.
Yes, yes. Well, it made all the difference in my life. I was told the first time you gave me pellets, you told me that it was probably kick in within 7 to 10 days. And I was like, I can't wait. 48 hours after I got my pellets, I woke up and realized that I had slept for 9 hours. For the first time in years, I had slept all the way through the night, and I felt like I had more energy than I'd had, and the fog had been lifted. I could think clearer. It just, 48 hours after my first treatment, my life just changed.
I love that.
Got back my energy, got back my life.
I love that. You know, it's interesting. There's multiple modalities of treating hormones, and I kind of believe in all of them, from creams to injections to pellets. But one of my favorite things about pellets, it's so quick.
Yes.
Like, we get people that call us within days to 2 weeks, my joint pain is gone and I can sleep, and this veil has lifted and I can actually think straight, and that brain fog is gone. I think brain fog is a real thing, and I think women and men, we don't notice that our cognitive is becoming worse and worse as we're getting older, and then all of a sudden when you get it back, you realize how bad you were.
Yes. I didn't realize how bad I had gotten until that morning when I woke up and I felt energy and I felt the fog lifted. I didn't realize the fog was over me until it went away.
I'd say that all of a sudden. It's when it's lifted, and all of a sudden I notice that people are ambitious in their careers, right? Everything gets remotivated, which is so exciting, where I think before we were so tired and you'd sit on the couch by the end of the day and you didn't really have that extra boost to do all these other fun projects that you want to do. And it's the vitality of life that you're giving back.
Right, exactly.
And you get to do a lot of things with that. I think if I heard correctly, you've tried to retire a few times, but I don't think this energy is ever going to let you slow down. Your mind is going, going, going. You're ready to conquer the world. Where are you going in retirement? I don't see that happening.
Hopefully a lot of traffic.
Traveling is fun.
Yes. At least I got to see.
You know, let's talk about hot flashes a little bit. I think, you know, I was doing really well on my hormones, and when they took me off my hormones when I got diagnosed, they threw me into these hot flashes, and they're miserable. I think we all understand the sheets on, sheets off, sheets on, sheets off, beads of sweat. I remember for some point in time when I was doing injectables, they would give me the Zimmer and chill me down because my hot flashes were so bad treating them. And I go, I can't live like this. This is really miserable. Talk about even the mood changes. You know, we become a little not nice when we're going through these changes and menopause hits and our friends and family and loved ones start to think there's something wrong with us.
Oh, yeah.
How did that mood change and how did your personality kind of adapt?
It was everything about me changed at that point because of my energy level and because the fog had lifted. I was absolutely able to do more, getting out more. I was happier. I started planning new things to do and getting out of the house more. I think I had become a little more of a recluse in the house because of all that. And I was decided this time to go back out again. It did. It changed every aspect of my life. I didn't realize that it had, I didn't realize until that moment how much it had brought me down and how it had snowballed into other areas of my life, the love life, your work, your social life, everything. It had seeped down into all levels of my life. And I just was happy to get it back.
To recapture that, I think people don't notice. We assume because we're getting older, it's okay to just be less motivated, to be tired, to not think correctly, to not want to have sex with our partner, to not want to enjoy life. It's okay to sit home all day, right? I really truly believe, like you do, that you don't notice it's gone until you get it back.
Right. It's almost like a depression. You go into almost it's all the same symptoms as a depression.
It is. That's always been a big pet peeve of mine. I've talked about it in the past where when women go through menopause and we go see our primary physician and we tell them that we're feeling sad and we can't sleep, instead of being treated for menopausal symptoms, we're treated with either a benzo for anxiety and an antidepressant, which then could worsen our dementia and cognitive ability. So I think there's a disconnect.
Yes.
And you probably went through the same thing.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
you're getting blood pressure medications, a lot of other things to help you out, but instead it's making you feel worse.
Right. Right. They even tried me on some creams, hormone creams, and absolutely did not work because the estrogen levels just about drove me nuts.
Yeah.
They had not adjusted. They didn't listen to me, that my body rejected that. And they started me off on a strong dose of estrogen along with the testosterone and the creams. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it really needs to be customized. Like you said, some women are naturally estrogen dominant and some women are testosterone dominant, right? And to me, that's kind of our happy feel hormone, right? That's
Right.
going to be the one that just gives us the vitality of life, that energy, that focus, that healthiness in life. And them all combined has to be done strategically. And so sometimes we'll say, start this, I'll see you in a year, but it really takes, right? It takes a balance. It's following up a month later, following up 3 months later, following up 6 months later, and figuring out everything in between and not just waiting, right? This
Yes.
is a partnership. It can't be just me telling you this is what you need without understanding how you're feeling.
And that helped me so much when you come back after 6 weeks and you check the levels of the hormones, and then again at the next 3-month level, or what I think we started off at 3 months, doing them every 3 months, and that was so important because my body was just chewing up the testosterone. It was gone in no time flat, and then you give me a little more, and it just chewed it up, and so it took a while to get the levels adjusted, and every time I went back, it got better and better and better. It was so great to me, just the initial jolt of it, I guess when the hot flashes, just getting rid of the hot flashes, that was the phase 1. But then as you went along, you kept improving the way I felt by making even more, tweaking it each time. So every time I'd come in, you would always do it at the 6, I think at the level just before we'd have them, get them in there, and then 6 weeks after to see what rate my body was using them up. And that made a difference in how you adjusted my levels and how it ended up making me feel.
I love that. And just so that we can kind of explain further, when I do those labs, I'm really looking for that peak and trough, meaning that once you get your pellets in, I want to know what your rate of rise is. And then as your stomach coming down, I want to know where you're getting low before you start becoming symptomatic. The goal is to kind of keep us on this beautiful wave and not feel great, miserable, right? We want to feel this plateau of greatness the entire time. And that requires us, having a conversation, looking at our blood work. If not, I mean, it's a guessing game and we don't need to guess. There's a good systematic way that we can make people feel better.
Yes. Well, I certainly have benefited from it. I think you have a good plan there.
Thank you. Now, you said it was 2019, so we're about 6 years in. What's interesting about that is in the first 5 years of menopause, if you don't really get treated and you can't reverse it later on, you're going to start having osteoporosis, heart disease, hypertension, hyperlipidemia. You start having all these medical problems. And do you feel like that's really helped you stay medically optimal?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I could feel my body going down when all this was going on. I could tell the difference in my body and what it was doing to it. And so, yes, absolutely. Plus, your monthly shots that I get with my membership. Oh, that is great. It's the B12 shot.
Yes.
Yes, that helps too.
Like, so to me, there's a trio. There's, hormones, there's nutrition, and then there's supplements, right? We need to eat pretty well. I say 80-20 rule. And we definitely need to have a lot of vitamin support. Our foods are not the healthiest, what we do to our body, the stress we live under. And so I love all of them. I love the B12, which gives us nice and energy. I love glutathione, which detoxes our body. We have NAD. Like, there's so many great things. I think that people can feel better every day and decrease all that inflammation that we have on a daily basis, because it only gets worse as we get more stressed and older.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Definitely does. And I think next month, I'll be hitting 65.
Ooh.
Stronger than ever.
See? Not ready to retire, ready to travel.
Yes, absolutely.
But what I love is people wait to retire and then they don't feel well and they don't really get to enjoy life at retirement. I love that you're not there. You're going to enjoy your retirement.
Yes, I have every plan to.
I think this retirement might only last 6 months and then she's going to go right back to work, because I look at her and you're so energetic and so excited and your mind is so sharp. You're going to love this. No, you're going to retire. Look, I keep saying I'm going to retire, and everybody's like, that's never going to happen. So,
Oh, come on, take a pottery class, travel, go to the beach. There's a lot more things you can do than go to work every day.
I love that.
The Formula Wellness 4 cornerstones are nutrition, functional wellness, aesthetics, and brain health. These serve as a guide rail for individuals that are pursuing longevity inside and out. Formula Wellness is setting the new benchmark in preventative healthcare and aesthetics. Thank you for all of your support. To learn more, please visit www.formulawellness.com.
So we talked a lot about hormones, but when I first met you, we talked more about the aesthetic world. As I think back in the day too, there was a little bit more of a stigma about getting Botox and fillers and all the things. Do you think we're going in the right direction where there's more empowerment for women?
Oh yeah. If a woman at one point, if a woman was getting Botox, she hid it. She didn't let anybody know she was getting Botox. And now you hear them in the grocery. Yeah, I'll be right back. I've got to go get my Botox treatment. Before I. And so yeah, there was definitely a stigma with it, and for some reason people didn't want anyone else to know that they were getting help for that wonderful glow on their face, that they were doing anything extra to make it happen. They wanted to think, oh, it's just natural. I was born this way. But now people don't have, yeah, of course I get Botox. Who doesn't?
That's probably a true statement. Who doesn't anymore? I love that. Look, I laugh. I go, you can't look this beautiful at 65 without having a little bit of assistance, right, from the aesthetic world. We see a lot now, Botox. We see a lot of fillers. But I feel like we've gotten to the point now that we're doing it so well that it's so natural and nobody's really noticing that we have work done, because it just looks like what we would have looked like 10 years ago.
Right. And I've always said, I just want to look like I had a really good night's sleep. I want to look rested. And I think that does a lot for it.
I think so too. Well, you're definitely glowing. So, what has been your favorite procedure that you've had?
Probably the one that I can't remember the name of it that you did 6 months ago, or five. I guess it was 5 months ago. Yeah, it was a 3-part procedure, and I gave that to myself for Christmas. So I had it on the day after Christmas. I can remember that.
Yeah. So one of those things, so what we ended up doing is I made up this beautiful little combination that I love to do for my faves, and that is therapy, and then a combination of a plasma device, and then a jawline filler. And the reason for that is, one, we are to the point now that we want to build a lot of collagen, right? So it's no longer the day that we just fill, but don't do anything for longevity, right? We want to look good now, but we want to look better in 3 months. So having a combination that's going to give you something wow that day, and then wow 3 months and 6 months later, you're just going to continue to look better and better. And I love that.
Wait. I love that theory.
So talk to me about maintenance in life. So we maintain our face, we maintain our hormones, we maintain our nutrition. Did you build that all into your platform now? Is that the day-to-day that you live
Yes,
by?
yes, and I try to do a little exercise too. I like yoga, and I try to do a little cardio or fusion. They have fusion there at the club where I live, so I go to fusion classes and then the yoga on the weekends.
That's right. So if you had to give women advice out there, they're in their 40s, they're starting to have symptoms. Should they wait? Should they start? What steps would you give them?
I wish I had started earlier. I'm going to say that. I didn't really start. I think the first time I got Botox, I was 50. And I didn't do it again for like 2 years. I thought it was something that you did until I heard, and I don't get it constantly, but someone made the comment to me, and this is I know you don't agree with this, but
Let's see.
so what I really want is a facelift. I would rather have the surgery. But I heard someone make a comment that I was watching a program, and the plastic surgeon was saying, well, we're going to do this, but there's only so much we can do with this because the lines are embedded so deep in the forehead or between the brows or wherever that you can't really completely get rid of them after they're gotten embedded that deep. I decided mine is never going to get embedded that deep, so that if I ever get the chance to have the surgery, I'm going to be ready and nothing's going to be pushed into my forehead. But I started, I wish I had started the Botox. I wish I had started having facials and collagen treatments and things like that much earlier on, because I really feel like when I went into menopause that chewed up a lot of it in my system. I think I lost a lot of my collagen and the builders in my with my skin. I think a lot of that went away when I was thrown into early menopause.
It does put a little shock to our body. And I will say, I'm not completely against plastic surgery. I think there's a time and place for it, particularly when we have a lot of neck laxity and jowling. I think the problem that I have with facelifts is I see 40-year-olds trying to have facelifts, early 50-year-olds trying to have facelifts, which they go get this facelift done, and then they come back to me and they're upset that they still need fillers and Botox. And so what I try to explain to them, that plastic surgery is really about tightening the skin, right? Removing excess skin.
Right.
It doesn't give you volume. You still need fillers. Like you said, it doesn't take away your forehead lines and your wrinkles. You still have movement. So I think understanding that it's a combination process and not a one and done, I think is where I struggle, is they really think it's a one and done.
No, it's not. I do understand that completely, that even if you get a facelift and remove the excess skin, you're still going to have the Botox there to keep the lines from going in deeper, and you're still going to have fillers every now and then to keep everything boosted up, because the collagen still isn't there.
Right.
And you're still losing it on a regular basis, whether you have the skin tightened or not.
Yeah.
better.
I think that's really my only issue with it. There's plenty of people I said now that, they've tried, like you said, they might be starting in their early 60s to late 60s and had never done anything prior, and they want fillers now, Botox, to reverse everything in one shot. And
Can't happen.
does that happen?
No, it does not happen. But just think about how much better I'd look if I had the facelift and that.
Are you trying to
I'd
convince
be
me or
stunning.
yourself?
I
I'm
would
not
be
sure.
stunning then.
Are stunning. Well, think about if we started earlier. Now we have this big trend now that Botox has gotten FDA approval for platysma bands, even though we've been doing neck Botox for 10 years. Now that it's been on commercials, everyone's coming in and asking me about the neck. Imagine if we started treating our neck earlier on,
wow.
along when we treated our face, what a difference that would make.
Oh, yeah. Because no matter what you do to your face, if you got the bad neck, it still gives away your age.
Right. So I tell people now, when you treat your face, it goes neck, chest, and hands, right? All of that gives away our age and things that we can protect really, really well.
Yes, I do a regimen with my serum that you give me. I always put it on the back of my hand, not on my face, then on my neck. But by the time I get down to my neck, I take the back of my hand and rub it like that.
Oh, you're using my favorite. Jeez. That's never how I teach my patients to do it, so that we can prepare our hands. You put it on the back of your left hand in the morning, your right hand at night.
Right.
You mix it all over the face, and then, this little jowl movement
Do that there.
that gets everywhere. I love that. I did that this morning. Thank you for
I did too.
Look, and I wasn't a believer. I think when I, got into this industry 20 years ago, it was hard for me to believe in vitamins and skincare products because you're young and you don't know any better, and you start to think, what does my body and face really, really need? But using this product now for almost 10 years, I look at I think that's really been the game changer for me, is to use something every single day that's going to make an impact.
Right. And when I look at it, I go, oh, well, I can get something much cheaper from the drugstore, things like that. But when you look in the long run, the difference that it makes with your skin, go ahead and invest in your body. You only get one of them.
Yeah, this is our one temple.
This is our one body here. So it's worth investing in.
Yeah. I was talking about third-party testing, both for our skincare and vitamins, right? So that means that it has to go through a testing from a third party that doesn't have anything to do with you. So you can't buy their results, right? You can't just tell them, hey, you need to show this. It needs to have proven papers. So I'm a research, right? I like to see all the research and everything I use. If I'm going to use something over the counter that's not going to give me any change, and does it really matter what you spend for it if it doesn't impact the dermal plane of our skin?
Exactly. And I've definitely seen a difference with the serum that I'm using now. So I'm sticking with it.
I love that. So we're going to keep going. I think that's TNS Advanced Serum is what I'm assuming, because that's what I use in the back of my hand. Our little favorite. But again, it could be any medical brand. I just want people to really choose wisely, both for our health, both for our skincare. There's so much more that we can do to really optimize what we feel like inside and out.
Yes. Yes, it is. And should go off the whole body.
Yes, if I can
Don't
just
stop
put
at
it,
the face and neck. Go to the whole body.
we need a little box that puts us in, and from our head to our toe, transformation. We would make billions if we can find this little machine to walk into
Oh, boy.
and reverse time.
It'd be a line around the block.
A line around a block. Look, I look at it as I never really want to be 20 again now that I'm in my 50s. But if I can always be 10 or 15 years, feel as good as I did in my 30s, look as good, if not better than we did in our 30s, then I think we're in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have to look worse as we
I'm
get
a lot
older?
smarter than I was in my 30s.
Just
I'm making better choices now than I did in my 30s.
say that. So we definitely grow in wisdom,
Yes.
in knowledge.
Yes.
And so we understand the things that we need to do.
Yes. Absolutely.
So your recommendation is to start earlier,
Yes, absolutely. Start earlier.
be proactive in your health.
Absolutely.
Don't take no for answers of things that don't make you feel good, and keep pushing to find the right solution for you.
You have to. You have no choice. It's survival.
It is survival. Survival of the fittest. And we are going to be the fittest.
Yes,
here.
we are.
Okay. For sure. So if I had to ask you what beauty means to you, because it really does make such a big difference for so many people. We've heard such great answers. How would that impact you?
You know, I was supposed to think about this and I didn't, but I can definitely tell you right off the cuff. The second you asked me what I thought about is when I stand before a mirror with nothing on and I see my face with no makeup and my body with no clothes and I think I'm beautiful and I see beauty. That's what beauty is to me. It's how I feel about myself in the raw.
And I think we should all have that much confidence and lead that way in life. I think that would make us so much happier to be comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah. That's it, being comfortable in your own skin.
I love that. Thank you for being with us. This was such a pleasure. And I really hope we help so many other women out there.
I hope so. I hope they can hear what I went through. And if they're going through that, don't give up. Just keep going till you find someone that can help you. Because the help is out there. I found it.